you're going to click on this link. If you're in class, I will physically hand you this picture to put in your notebook. This is going on page 4, or the 4th entry in your ISN, in your interactive notebook. If you're able to print it at home, that's great. If you said that you needed things mailed to you, I will be working on putting that packet together this week, but you should have it by Monday at the very latest. But what we're going to do is we're going to go through this, and you're going to mark the most important items. So let me stop sharing for just a minute so I can make my picture bigger. Okay, so in my notebook, what I have done is on page 4, or the 4th item, I made it a full size. So originally I went through and I highlighted the 10 most important items. So if they are highlighted, that means that we're going to use them more than the other things. I've marked out a few things that honestly we never see in class. So this says it's a gas bottle. I've not, in all my years teaching now, used one of those. It's probably important in college, but I don't use it. And so what I want you to do is I want you to go through each one. This here is a Bunsen burner. So I put underneath it that it's an open flame. So it's kind of like a mini purpose notation. As you go across, this is pipe stem triangle. A lot of times we call it a clay triangle. It's for putting a crucible on so that you can heat it. This is an evaporating dish. You would put things like an alcohol or other volatile liquids in to watch them settle out a solid or something in the bottom of the dish. Test tubes, we use those sometimes for a small reaction. So that's what's written there, small reaction. A beaker is what you heat liquids in. So if we are going to conduct a laboratory activity that requires you to heat up water, say, you would heat it in a beaker. If you need to do a reaction that's a little bit bigger than a test tube, you would use this guy. This is an Erlenmeyer flask. It just says reactions. This is called a crucible, and then it has a little cover on it. A lot of times you would use it for dehydrating of a hydrate. That's most of the time what we use it for. It's something that can handle high heat. You would set that on the triangle and put it over your Bunsen burner. Mortar and pestle, we do not use. That's something we really don't use in high school, so just put an X on it. An iron ring, you could use it for a guide. So like you could put it over the mouth of, say, an Erlenmeyer flask to keep it from tipping over. Maybe you set the triangle on it and the crucible, and then you have to heat something over the Bunsen burner. You could also put a funnel in there and have a filtration. So like an AP, we would use that for one of our labs. A ring stand, I hope you know what that is. It's really just a base for support so you can control your reaction. Again, a gas bottle I've never used, but just kind of mark it out. All right, a wire gauze. Think of it like oven mitts at home, or a pot holder or something. It's to protect your surface. It doesn't move. They're made out of wire, but you can put it on the surface of the counter and then set the glassware on there, and it helps protect the glassware from breaking because you would be changing temperature rather quickly. Safety goggles, obviously, are to protect your eyes. Corks, you may use them occasionally. A watch glass, it's literally what it says. You're just watching a reaction happen. It's a very small amount happening on a glass itself. Don't usually use rubber stoppers. There's like one lab in AP Chem that we may use it for. This just says lab burner, but I don't really see what the difference is between these two, so I'm not terribly worried about it. Tongs are used to move hot objects. You don't ever want to grab a beaker or anything with your hands and move it. You want to use the tongs. Talked about wire gauze. Over here, we have this really long one with the end that turns. It's called a burette. And you use it to move a very small amount of liquids, usually an acid-base reaction. These glass pipettes usually have a bulb on the end of them. You may use them in college. Some other AP classes might have used them, but we don't. Then this is a thermometer. I tend to use the electric ones, but there are some of these glass ones in there. Graduated cylinder. You use that to measure liquid. Never ever heat with that. A wash bottle, exactly what it says. You put water in there, nothing else, but then that water is used to rinse off your reaction. These are disposable or micro pipettes, and they're used to transfer very small amounts of liquid. Let's see. Um, Little droppers like this, they usually have a glass body and a little rubber top. They are like for adding indicators like phenolphthalein or something. Forceps, don't use them very often, but you would pick up something like little metal pieces and move them. We don't use the file. Wire brush is really just for cleaning, like pipettes or not pipettes, for cleaning test tubes. Let's see if I can do this a little better. Hold those. Obviously, a test tube rack is used for holding your test tubes. This is a funnel. We have some glass ones and we have some plastic ones, really just for controlling and separating solutions that you're trying to separate. This is spatula. I don't remember seeing very many of those. We usually use what's called a scupula, and it's just to move a solid. So if I need 5 grams of baking soda, you would use that little scoop to move them. And then finally over here, you have a well plate. So we use that well plate to see if a solid or precipitate is formed in a small reaction. And you're accountable for knowing these pieces of equipment and what they're used for. You are going to put it in your book just like this, and then go through and put the notations of what it's used for, so that if I ask you later to go get a graduated cylinder, you'll know what it looks like. If I ask you to go get a scupula, you'll know what you're looking for. So you want to make sure that that information is handy. If you're at home, again, you'll have to print it out and put it in your book before you can interact with it, or you'll be waiting for me to mail it to you.